sober and cool-headed and certainly most transcendental attitude. So maybe I can just use this opportunity to thank him that he was, by his example, more by example as by words, always helping devotees to survive the various sorts of agitation which they encounter on the way. So I'm most grateful to him for that, because when everybody was going crazy, he was,
I was going crazy.
No. If so, then only internally, because outwardly it was absolutely pacifying. So Krishna Kshetra Prabhu is from America. He is from America. He is visiting momentarily Denmark. He visited Sweden. And he will continue tomorrow to travel to Hong Kong. So it's certainly a most wonderful thing that we can have him here, at least for this Sunday, and listen from him from Bhagavad Gita and Krishna consciousness. He is, of course, also well known, as demonstrated yesterday in a program in Malmö, for being most wonderful Kirtan Nandi. His chanting is famous all over the world. So I guess Maharaj was to chant now for 15 minutes or so, then he will give a lecture, and after the lecture there's again Kirtan, and then of course there will be, after the Kirtan again, Prasadam, as usual. So the rest of the announcements will be done by Keshwara Priya. So.
So, thank you for the fancy introduction. Where's it?
A little louder, Maharaj.
Okay. So, I'm happy to be here with you this afternoon. As Prabhu said, we'll make some music and then discuss Bhagavad Gita. How's that? Why not? I think we'll just start with a song you all know, Jaya Radha Madhava. Everyone knows this song.
Jaya Hare Rama
Bhagavad Gita som den är all glories to Krishna, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guru. My apologies for not speaking Danish, but hopefully everyone understands English, more or less. Okay, we'll see how it goes.
Maharaj,
Yes.
I just wanted to make a little announcement that if we have small children, then we have a children room upstairs in the main building there. Just go up the stairs and there are a few rooms there. The first room to your right hand. Then if some children will come in during the lecture and make a little noise, then you can just take your little child up there. Jai.
Okay. We also have a place for telephones. Sorry. If you have a mobile phone, it's nice if you turn it off, because we know you're a very important person, so people are calling you also on Sundays, but you know, it can be a disturbance. Okay. For a society that puts so much importance and value in its books, I'm always amazed at how little we take care of our books. Well, I won't start on that subject. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishna Shunyavadi Paschatyavishatharine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopishna Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I want to start with a question to all of you, and it's a very simple question. And the question is, where are we? Where are we? Answers? Yes?
In the heart? Floating? You're floating in our heart?
Floating in the heart. Oh, you're getting right into a philosophical answer. Okay. Well, what might we more ordinarily say? Where are we?
In the Krishna temple in Denmark.
In a Krishna temple in Denmark. Okay. Any other suggestions?
In the materialistic world.
Sorry?
In the materialistic world.
In the material world, which is a materialistic world for the most part. Yes. Any other suggestions? Yes.
We're in the Bhagavad Gita class.
We're in Bhagavad Gita class. Okay. Yeah. Good.
We are trying to serve Krishna as much as possible.
Okay, that would be more about what we're doing. I'm just asking where are we, but okay, that's fine.
We are in that body.
We're in these bodies, yeah. We woke up one day and we found ourselves in these bodies. Nowadays we have these GPS devices that suppose, how many of you have these? So these devices tell us very accurately where we are, isn't it? We just turn it on, we type in something and we see where we are and see where we want to go, right? Makes you feel very confident, isn't it? Sometimes it will be a male voice or a female voice that will tell you, turn left here, turn right there, go here, go there. Okay, we go here. And then you get to your destination, and what does the lady say? You have reached your destination. Right? One time I was, someone was driving me to the train station in downtown London to catch a train to Brussels, and we were using his navigation device, and it took us to about 3 blocks from the station, and then it said, you have reached your destination. And that might have been not so bad, except from there to the station, I really had no idea how to go. And there was no one around I could ask. It was in some industrial area, and it was just the backs of so many buildings. So I missed my train. And so we put our confidence in these machines to tell us where we are. But if we're a little bit thoughtful, we understand that the answer to this question, where am I, is not so simple. And a similar question, this was a question about location in space. A similar question could be about our location in time. We might ask it, well, we don't really have a normal English way of asking this. When are we? But okay, we can try that. When are we? Anybody have an answer to this one? Yes.
Kali Yuga?
Okay, we're in Kali Yuga. Any others?
19th of October 2014.
Okay, that's one way of locating ourselves in time. Of course, there are many calendars from history and from different regions. There have been many calendars. Even within India, there are several different calendars that have been used over the centuries. And somehow it's become a convention due to globalization that we're all familiar with this Christian calendar. Okay, any other locations in time? Yes?
We're in the now.
In the now, okay, that sounds like, what's his name? Be here now or something.
Aren't we eternal?
Sorry?
Aren't we eternal?
Oh, now we're getting somewhere. But is that just avoiding the issue? Related to both these questions, of course, there's where are we and when are we, and then the next question could be who are we? And we all know the problems with that question. There are the quick answers. There's the answer that the immigration officer is looking for. Who are you? Let's see your passport. Have you ever felt when you've gone through immigration of some country and you're showing your passport, have you ever had that feeling like, but this is not me? This is just some name and some picture and some dates and some numbers. It's not me. Yeah. So we all have this sense that we are something more and something different from what is understood in a kind of superficial way of identifying yourself. So I wanted to bring up these questions to just as a little exercise of unsettling ourselves. As we go through life, we're all looking to become settled and comfortable in our outlook. But in fact, this is it's not really what spiritual life is about. Sorry about that. It's about becoming a little bit insecure, or maybe profoundly insecure in our preconceptions, or rather our misconceptions. What I thought I'll do is essentially share with you some thoughts from one of my Guru Bhai, godbrothers, who is a very good friend of mine since decades, and who also is my sannyas guru, and that is His Holiness Sachinandana Swami. He was speaking to a gathering, also in a Sunday, we call it Sunday Feast or Sunday Love Feast program, some time ago. And he was telling this story of his own experience with his and my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. It was on the last occasion that both of us met him, and that was in 1977 in London. I was not present at the gathering of devotees that Sachinandana Swami attended. He had come over, I think, one day earlier than I from Germany, and with most of the devotees from Germany. And when they arrived, they were invited to come in and sit with Srila Prabhupada in his room. And when they came in, they were quite shocked to see the physical condition of Srila Prabhupada's body at that time. He was, we say in English, extremely emaciated. You know this word? Emaciated. It means extremely thin, like seeing only skin and bones. Because of illness, in fact, as it would happen, this was September 1977, as it happened, he would leave the world 2 months later only. So he was very close to departing. And it was very obvious to all of us that he was making final preparations to go. So they were quite shocked by what they saw. But they came in, they sat down, and then Srila Prabhupada asked them a question. And the question was, so, what is the essential teaching of Krishna consciousness? And all the devotees from Germany were petrified. First of all, there was the shock of seeing the condition of Srila Prabhupada. And second, he's asking, in one sense, a very simple question that everyone would have, all of those devotees would have some answer for. But they immediately sensed that he was looking for a particular answer. And two or three devotees ventured to answer his question. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam raja, the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, give up all forms of religion and just surrender unto me. No, he wasn't looking for that. Okay. Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhakyavanji Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. We wander about throughout the universe, and if a living entity is fortunate, he or she will, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, be able to take up bhakti, the seed of the plant of devotion, of bhakti. No, that wasn't the answer either that Prabhupada was waiting for. So like that, different questions or different responses were coming. And they could see that Srila Prabhupada was a little bit, not in a negative sense, but he was a little bit impatient. Like, let's get to the point, and you're all kind of going around the point, but give me what is the real point. What is the essential knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And they all kind of fell silent. And then he said, the essential point is that we are eternal. And the way Prabhupada said it, and the condition that he was in at the time, so much powerfully delivered this message to them. I think none of them who were in that room at the time could forget then and will ever forget that point. We are eternal. And Prabhupada was saying it with complete conviction. Okay, so that's kind of point one, and of course we get this a lot in Bhagavad Gita. So the promise was we'll read Bhagavad Gita, one verse at least. Krishna says in chapter 2, and many of you will be familiar with this, verse number 12. Let me do an invocation first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Says in verse 12 of chapter 2, Na tvevaham jatunasam na tvang nemejanadipa na chaiva na bhavishyama sarve vayam ataparam. Never was there a time when I, Krishna, did not exist, nor you, he's speaking to Arjuna, nor all these kings, there were so many kings present on this occasion, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. How would this translate into Danish? Never was there a time. Okay. When I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Good, thank you. Interesting language, Danish. Interesting also that the same idea can be communicated in different languages. If you think about it, that's kind of an amazing thing. But that's a different subject. Okay, let me read part of what Srila Prabhupada writes in regard to this simple point. He's obviously saying that we, all of us, are eternal just as He, Krishna, the Supreme Bhagavan, is eternal. Prabhupada says, in the Vedas, in the Katha Upanishad, as well as in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the maintainer of innumerable living entities in terms of their different situations, according to individual work and reaction of work. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is also, by His plenary portions, alive in the heart of every living entity. Only saintly persons who can see within and without the same Supreme Lord can actually attain to perfect and eternal peace. And then he gives the quote he's referring to in the Katha Upanishad, famous one, Nitya Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman Tamat Atmastam ye nupashanti dhiras tesham shanti shashvati netaresham. The same Vedic truth given to Arjuna is given to all persons in the world who pose themselves as very learned but factually have but a poor fund of knowledge. In other words, they don't really know anything. The Lord says clearly that he himself, Arjuna, and all the kings who are assembled on the battlefield are eternally individual beings, and that the Lord is eternally the maintainer of the individual living entities, both in their condition and in their liberated situations. Supreme Personality of Godhead is the supreme individual person, and Arjuna, the Lord's eternal associate, and all the kings assembled there are individual eternal persons. It is not that they do not exist as individuals in the past, and it is not that they will not remain eternal persons. Their individuality exists in the past, and their individuality will continue in the future without interruption. Therefore, there is no cause for lamentation for anyone. All right, Prabhupada says more, but I want to pitch in something here. So this is all very nice, and we may wonder, do I believe this, or do I not believe it? Or do I sometimes believe it and sometimes not? How do I feel, depending on the time of day or the day of the week, whether I believe this or not? The second point that Satchidananda Swami was making in this other lecture on Sunday was that having heard that we are eternal, what do we do about it? And what he was suggesting is then it's a reasonable thing to do is to cultivate one's belief in that truth, in that reality. He didn't elaborate very much on how one might do that, except to say one can read and hear these Vedic literatures, such as Bhagavad Gita. And by hearing, by reading, one can, of course, reflect on what they're saying. And then one may, one's faith, one's belief may become strengthened, something like the exercise of muscles. If you go to the gym, what do they call it?
Fitness.
Fitness center, yeah. Some of you go to fitness center for exercise. So, you know, by the regular attendance to a fitness center, then one gets some strong muscles, and similarly by regular attendance to such literature as Bhagavad Gita, one gets some spiritual fitness, you could say. Yes, you may say, but getting back to my first question, where are we? You may say, yes, but we live in Denmark. And Denmark is a skeptical country. Am I right?
Yes.
A little bit. Sometimes, especially these days. So I thought, let's explore skepticism and doubt a little bit. Often when you come here, we're all trying to avoid the subject of doubt. We don't want to doubt something because doubts are compared to demons. I might never get invited back here for the following, but I want to share with you the sorts of doubt that you may have experienced, and if you haven't experienced yet, you will now. And these have been collected from writings of Blaise Pascal, the French philosopher and theologian and scientist from the 17th century, who's famous for his wager. You've heard of Pascal's wager? haven't heard of Pascal's wager. Pascal set up a kind of argument of why one should believe that God exists. And he set it up as a wager. A wager means gambling, a bet. So you can say, I wager, I put forward so much money or whatever, that such and such is true. And if I win, then I will get whatever you're wagering, plus I'll get what I have back. And if I'm wrong, then I will lose what I've wagered, and you will win. That's, yeah, gambling. So he says, with regard to whether or not God exists, he says, if you really come down to it, our power of reasoning can never decide this. You can never decide whether or not there is God just by our reasoning power. And so he suggests that with our reasoning, one thing we can do is act as if God exists. And if it turns out that we were right, and his kind of assumption is that we'll find out after death, presumably, then we win eternal life. Whereas, if we wager that God doesn't exist, then we lose in all respects. We've lost everything. If we are wrong that God does not exist, but we wager that God exists, we haven't lost anything. Okay, God doesn't exist. No problem. Anyway, that's kind of a footnote to a little series I put together, the notes here. First of all, Pascal suggests there can be uncertainty in all. And then he elaborates, this is what I see, and it's what troubles me. I look on all sides, and everywhere I see nothing but obscurity. You know what is obscurity?
Darkness.
Well, unclarity. Yeah. The opposite of clarity, obscurity. Nature offers me nothing that is not a matter of doubt and disquiet. When I look around, I'm doubtful of everything, he says. And on top of that, he suggests, there is bound to be some uncertainty about our purpose as human beings. Have you ever felt like that? What is our purpose? What is my purpose? He says, for after all, what is man or woman, what is human being in nature? A nothing in relation to infinity. All in relation to nothing. A central point between nothing and all. And infinity far from understanding either. Interesting way of describing ourselves. We're somewhere between finitude, between finiteness, between nothingness and between infinity. And we don't seem to have a connection with either one. Well, it gets worse. It gets worse before it gets better. Hold on to your seats. Then there's uncertainty in reason. Because someone may say, well, at least we have our power of reasoning. No, he says, there is nothing so conformable, so you can put in line with, to reason as the disavowal of reason. Okay, I need to translate that. That means there's nothing more reasonable than to doubt reason, the power of reason. It's a very reasonable thing to be doubtful of the power of our reasoning. I think we can agree with that. Well, and he says because of that, and he's speaking already in the 17th century when what now has become called science, in his day was called natural philosophy. But his uncertainty in science, he explains, there no doubt exists natural laws. Okay, there's law of gravity, there's the electromagnetic mechanics and so on. But once this fine reason of ours was corrupted, it corrupted everything. You know the word corrupted? Corruption. So when our fine reason was corrupted, then our science also became corrupted. We can't be sure of anything that we examine with regard to natural laws. Okay, then someone may say, well then let's fall back on religion. He says, no, there's uncertainty also in religion. And this is what he says, if I saw no signs of a divinity, I would fix myself in denial. I would say, there's no God, because there are no signs of divinity. If I saw everywhere the marks, the signs of a creator, I would repose peacefully in faith. I would say, yes, God is there. Don't you see all the effects, the presence of God? But seeing too much to deny him and too little to assure me, I am in a pitiful state. And I would wish 100 times that if a God sustains nature, it would reveal him without ambiguity. Have you ever felt like that? If only God would reveal himself unambiguously. You know this word? Ambiguous means maybe this, maybe that, not quite sure, maybe some double meaning. What's the Danish word for unambiguous? There's no unambiguous word for unambiguous in Danish. Huh? We got it?
Again?
Louder? Okay.
Utvetydigt.
Utvetydigt.
Sorry.
Yeah? Okay, that's as close as I can get, sorry. Okay, and then finally, to sort of complete the circle, Pascal says, but there's also uncertainty in skepticism. My guess is the Danish word for skepticism will be skepticismus or something. No? Skepticism. Great, I learned a Danish word today. He said, it is not certain that everything is uncertain. Because skepticism says there's nothing certain. And this says, well, it's not certain that everything is uncertain. So look at the situation we're in. We would say in English, the pickle that we are in. We have reason to doubt all around us. We are swimming in doubt, you could say. You know that your most famous Danish philosopher, theologian, Søren Kierkegaard, had this expression, leap of faith, right? He was saying that faith has to be a kind of leap, not based on a step-by-step reasoning process. It rather comes as a result of a readiness well, he's considered one of the founders of what later is called existentialism. But he says faith has to be based on a kind of leap. You have to jump to a conclusion, I believe. Anyway, back to our point, that the claim is being made by Krishna that we are eternal. Now, that's on one level reassuring, and on another it could be frightening. But if we take that as a hypothesis, maybe I'm eternal, then the next question is, what do we do with it? First, how do we cultivate that sense of faith? And then, having developed some faith in that idea that I am eternal, that simple point, I am eternal, then the question becomes, what do I do with that? Do I go on living as if I'm not eternal? Do I go on living as if I am this which is so very uneternal, namely this body? And if I do, aren't I making a big mistake? So that's kind of what Krishna is getting at here. It's really about making a very profound change in life, and that's why we don't see big crowds jamming their way into the Hare Krishna temple. You're a very select group because most people don't really want to even begin to think about this issue of who am I and where am I and when am I. Okay, I want to end with, we have about 1 minute, at least the beginning of a very nice song from Bhaktivinoda Thakur within his song collection of Sharanagati. Sharanagati means surrender, right? And he has many songs in this book developing this idea in a very systematic way. And then he has subcategories, and one of these is Atmanivedana, giving oneself completely, because that's really what it's about. If I'm going to act as eternal being, then it really is about giving myself to the Supreme Eternal. So he puts it like this: Amarami tonata nara rohinu ar akkana hoinu ami kebala tomar. I no longer consider even myself to be mine, O Lord. Now I have become exclusively yours. Ami shobde dahi jiva ahanta charilo padya vimana aji hridaye pashilo. The soul inhabiting this mortal body has given up the false ego attached to the word I. For today, the spiritual sense of being yours has entered my heart. Amar shavash sarvashva deho geho anuchar bhai bandhu dana sutta dravya dvara gar. This one's good. All my possessions, and now he lists possessions: body, home, servants. Nowadays, we don't usually have servants. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had servants. Brothers, friends, wife, sons, personal belongings, fencing around the house, and gateways. All of these things are now yours, for I have become your servant. I am but a mere occupant in your house. So this answers the question all at one time: who we are, we're a servant; where we are, we're in the house of the Lord, even if we're not physically here. the whole world becomes the house of the Lord. And when are we? We are in the present moment serving Shishi Gornita Ki. Thank you all very much. Ananta Koti Vakshananda Ki. Hare Krishna.